Hey everybody, in this video we're going to be talking about true and false in C++. So what is true in C++ and what is false in C++? Well, in all computers, if you're evaluating a function, or if you're evaluating an input or an expression to be true or false, sometimes we call it a condition. The most basic thing that is false is 0. If you input 0, it's false for your condition. If you input 1, it's true. In fact, if you input anything else, it's true, just by itself. And how do we test for truthity and falsity in C++? In really any programming language. That's the if statement. And Xcode is so wonderful because it shows you how to set up an if statement. You type if, and then in parentheses you type your condition. That could be either 0 or 1, 0 being false, 1 being true, and then curly brackets. So, before we do all that, I want to declare some variables. Int num1. So we'll set that equal to, well actually we'll just declare it. And then num2. And then we'll get values from the user for that. Well, let's prompt the user. Please input a single digit value. Okay, and then cin to num1, and then cout. Oh, my dad got me a watch for Christmas. Yes, I do like it. If you're wondering why I just said that, it's because of this notification that came right up here for Facebook. Anyways, I think I only need one endl. Please input another single digit. And then we'll input that to num2. Okay, so we have user created values for our variables num1 and num2, they're integers, and now we're going to compare them. Yay! So let's compare them. If, we'll do our if statement, parentheses. And how do we compare? If, let's do num1 is greater than num2, then curly brackets. Okay, so if this expression is true, then we execute the statement in the next curly brackets. So if that is true, then we'll cout that it is true. Num1, or we could just put out the value. Num1 is, I think I should do an endl. Yeah, good. Num1 is, and then I need that here, greater than num2. And endl. Okay. So what happens if this certain expression is not true? Then we do something called else if. So else, I'll explain else later, but else if means if it's not this, then it's something else. Evaluate another expression. So if num1 is less than num2, okay, then we do another curly brackets to see if it'll, if this isn't if this isn't true, then it won't execute this. It'll go on to your next else if, and it'll test for the truthity of this, if you will. If this is true, it'll execute the statement down here. So we're gonna cout endl. Well, we already did it back there. So value of num1 is less than num2. Okay. So what happens if they're equal to each other? Well, we'll do an else. Another else if. And 1 is equal to num2. And you might be thinking, why did you do 2 equals? Is that a typo? Is that normal? Actually, yes, it is normal. If you did 1 equals, remember, when you declare a variable, when you're initializing it, you do a single equal sign to say this is equal to that. If you did this, this would mean that you're setting the value of num1 equal to the value of num2. So to compare in C++, to compare for whether or not two things are equal, you do 2 equal signs. And the compiler Xcode actually gives you an error, I believe. What does it say? Using the resultant assignment as a condition without parentheses. Yeah. Use done fix it. Oh, this is so great. I love this program. Awesome sauce. All right. So if they're equal, then we see out num1. Well, we could just make this simple and say both inputs are equal. And you know what? I should just see out and end out here. And that way I don't have to do it here. And that way I can do it for any one of these. Perfect. Okay. And finally, what happens if they're not equal? Well then, we do it like this. If num, I'm just gonna put else to show you that you can just put else. With else, it means if none of these conditions evaluate to true, if they're all false, then this whole if-else block, this whole if statement, it like defaults to the else statement at the very bottom. So if none of these are true, basically if num1 is not equal to num2, well actually it can be not equal here and it can be not equal here. So this whole else statement is really just pointless. I guess we could comment it out. Yeah, because if it's not equal and it's greater than, it'll go here and it'll never get to the else. Maybe what if the user put in like a character or something that would produce maybe an error. So I don't know, this else could be error. And cool. Alright, so let's run this and see what happens. Please input a single digit value, 4. Please input another single digit value, 1. 4 is greater than 1. Yeah, that's true. Let's try it again. Please input a single digit value, 6 and 6. Both inputs are equal. Alright, my program is working great. 3 and 0. 3 is greater than 0. Yeah. Great, so this program works. And I'm going to tell you before I leave, this is really just a brief introduction to conditions and falsity and truth in C++. And there are other operations you can do. You don't just have equals equals. You can have less than or equal to by doing the less than symbol and the equal than symbol. You can have greater than or equal to by doing the greater than symbol and the equal symbol. And you can have not equal to, and that's exclamation mark and the equal symbol. So typically in computer science, exclamation mark means not. So not equal to, you know. And don't forget, when you're comparing two things for equality, use double equal signs. And also there's a thing where you can compare two conditions, two expressions for truthity, falsity, whatever. And I'll get to that in another future video because this one's going on way too long. So stay tuned, guys.